Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Coaster Chow Doncasterborn, but built for theme parks, and welcome to the official new episode of the Theme Park Call-In Show, bringing you guys into the new stories. Now, obviously, for those of you who haven't seen the show already, this is our fantastic show where I've not done it for quite a while. I've not done it for a long, long while, actually. No idea why I've not done it previously, but this show is basically talking about some topics, discussing some topics, and then bringing you guys into the forefront. You guys are the stars of this particular series on the channel because your thoughts become part of the fan cams, and the fan cams are part of the channel. And it means it's a way of getting the theme park fans and the enthusiasts to share their thoughts. Now, before I do anything, I'm going to pin the StreamYard link at the top of the chat so you guys can get ready backstage if you want to have your say this evening. But as you can see by the title of the stream today, we're going to be talking about two particular attractions at the Alton Towers Resort that could potentially be on the chopping block. Now, a lot of evidence points towards one of them. In terms of the other one, it's just rumors and murmurings for now. So we're going to go through both attractions. I think you can obviously guess by the title which attractions we're going to talk about today. I have posted on Twitter and Instagram about this live stream, so people that are on there that are coming over here, welcome to the stream. But for those of you who are not really theme park enthusiasts and need a bit more information on what attractions I'm talking about, we're going to start off with attraction number one. We're going to sort of go through them in a little bit of detail here and there, and then open the floor to you guys. Obviously, do a bit of history on the two rides, share my thoughts on both of them individually, one at a time, and then the floor is open to you guys. Like I said, the StreamYard link is in the chat. It is pinned to the top of the chat. So if you guys want to click that and share your thoughts on the potential futures of these two attractions I'm about to name, then please do so. But we're going to start with attraction number one, and it is this one right here. It is Duel. Now, Duel, alongside the Runway Mine Train, originally opened as the Haunted House back in 1992. Of course, Katenga Canyon and Gloomy Wood created in 1992, the two new areas at the time. So this year saw a huge redevelopment for the theme park. Now, of course, the Haunted House was the original dart ride. It was the original ghost house type dart ride attraction, tracked dart ride attraction. Plenty of different theming items. There was a spinning tunnel. There was the different ghouls and the different zombies and all these different just mechanical monsters animatronically presenting themselves to terrify guests. Now, the biggest change after its opening came in 2003. Now, the Haunted House closed until in 2002, with change coming in 2003, and that was, of course, the addition of guns to the ride to make it into Duel: The Haunted House Strikes Back. Now, it went under some seasonal changes during Scarefest 2008, with the blasts and targets turned off and live actors placed, creating Duel Live. It was changed in 2010, becoming Skelvin's Haunted Adventure around the friendly Scarefest mascot at the time, Skelvin. Who remembers that one? Comment down below. But Duel is no longer included as a live attraction and is just operating as normal. Over 2017-2018 close season, it went through a Towers Loving Care program. The ivy was cleared from the attraction's exterior on the facade. The crypt saw a new resident added. The queue line saw the addition of moving portraits, replacing the TV screens, which used to play the backstory of the ride. Much of the ride was repainted with neon and UV paint, which complemented the UV lighting. We're also receiving a brand new soundtrack composed in-house by the Alton Towers Resort. Now, obviously, Duel it's been a staple attraction for a good number of years, even before the Duel refurbishment change. First of all, let's look at the comment section. Hello to Coaster Hour from America. Welcome to the show. If you want to share this about Coaster Hour with other coaster enthusiasts, then please do. But let's speak about Duel first of all. If you're already backstage waiting to come on the show, do not fret. You are coming on as soon as possible. As soon as possible. I'm just going to talk about Duel first of all, my thoughts. I'm going to hold back into going into too much detail on my thoughts because potentially, not confirming this yet, potentially either Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not too sure when yet. It might not even go ahead this week, but I'm planning on maybe going back to Towers this week for the Mardi Gras event. So if that trip goes ahead on Wednesday or Thursday, I'll try and get some footage of Duel and also the Enterprise site. Just to do a bit and sort of do a separate video and talk a bit more in depth with my thoughts on these two attractions. So I'm sort of holding back for now, just in case that trip goes ahead on Wednesday or Thursday this week. But in terms of Duel, all I will say is I think with what's been happening, I think Lift Hills and Thrills did a video in the recent few days, and with Coaster Dan, I believe. And I think he was saying it seemed like there was a lot of effects that weren't working. And you guys knew my thoughts on Duel on the first weekend of the season back in March. I did say about my thoughts on Duel back then, about how it didn't feel like it was operating. It was operating better than previous years, but it still wasn't operating to its full maximum standard, if you know what I mean. So I think Duel still has a lot of things needs working to it. Loads of effects need work to it. Loads of different things need changing, etc., etc. But I feel like Duel for me it's just on its last legs for me. I still feel like it's on its last legs. I've seen recent footage of the queue line. You could see different effects in the queue line not working as well, and it just looked like a very aging ride, and it's not doing the Haunted House any justice. So with the Haunted House anniversary this year, it would make a lot of sense if they closed the ride earlier, sort of maybe after Halloween, and then sort of use the November, December period as well as the first few months of the season, and maybe reopen it around April, May, and use that period to give the ride a complete refurbishment, new storyline, new ideas, new ride name, a complete overhaul of the ride. Don't use an IP. That'll be my first guess. Do not use an IP. Go with an original story. Maybe dive in, like with Hex, for example. Maybe dive back into the Alton Towers historical forums. Maybe dive back into the folklore of the local area. Maybe drag some history into it. Sort of like a spirits of this folklore haunting the house kind of thing. I don't know, just a few ideas here and there, but I wouldn't go for an IP. I wouldn't do what Chessington did with Hocus Pocus Hall and their Room on the Broom attraction. And yes, Room on the Broom does look good. Don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't be It wouldn't be a very Alton Towers thing to do what Chessington did. I think for me, it has to be an original theme for me. So that'll be my thoughts on Duel. Quickly then, just before we get into our first caller, who's backstage already, guys, don't forget, if you do want to call into the show, please do use the StreamYard link. It is pinned at the top of the chat if you do have your say on Duel and Enterprise. Hello to Jason and hello to Ryan. So, second attraction then, this is one of the more likely ones out of the two to be going, and that is this, Enterprise, the oldest attraction, or probably the oldest attraction in the park still. Now, obviously, in terms of the history of this particular ride, it's a very, very interesting one. Before the Ministry of Joy, before Smiler, before X Sector, Enterprise began its operations back in 1984. The original location was alongside the old Corkscrew in Festival Park, now known as Dark Forest. And with the introduction of the X Sector, it moved into that area. Now, along with the introduction of Smiler back in 2013, the majority of X Sector was given a fresh breath of life, with extensive work done to the Enterprise, with new components being installed to keep the ride operating for the foreseeable future. Now, what's the reason behind this potentially going? Now, the reason is, and you'll know if you've seen recent photos over the last few days, barely anything's left of the Enterprise in its site right now. It's literally in parts. There's barely anything left on that site right now. And it hurts to see that. It's a classic attraction. It really is a classic attraction. And, you know, for me, I just feel like Enterprise's time has come to an end. I think they'll confirm it probably start next season. I think they'll probably confirm it then. But I just seem to think at some point between now and the end of the season, they're going to remove the rest of the parts, and there's going to be a new site available and accept for a new ride. So, this links very nicely into the retro squad. Do the resort have plans to put another retro squad ride in there next season? I personally don't want that. Again, I'm not going to go too much into detail because I'm going to wait until Wednesday or Thursday when hopefully, fingers crossed, get the trip passed and greenlit for the Mardi Gras event. But no, but what I will say is, without going into too much detail, I think it shouldn't be a retro squad ride, even though that has done some good for Alton Towers in terms of temporarily fixing the flat ride lineup. I would like to maybe just step away from the retro squad starting next season and bring in some permanent flats. Start with that Enterprise site and maybe one more site at the park, and then do a phase 2 with some other sites in the park. That would be my best approach with that. But like I said, I'm going to go into more detail about these things down at the actual sites, fingers crossed, for the Mardi Gras event on Wednesday or Thursday. So let's get the calls going then. Don't forget, these calls will be recorded for the theme park fan cams, which is, of course, another series that we're doing, which is the spin-off to the call-in show. So let's start off with caller number 1. Jason, how are you? How are you doing?
Hello.
How are we doing?
Not so bad, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So obviously the topic of discussion today is on Enterprise and Duel. Let's start with Duel first of all. Is it a long time coming?
Yes. A long time coming. Because that tunnel, just like in Alice in Wonderland about Pleasure Beach, that has not been working for a very long time. Fair dues to Battlefield Pleasure Beach for getting it still working and running and stuff. But yeah, it needs desperately TLC, major TLC.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, what would you like to see done to it? We've seen Chessington do a refurbishment with Hocus Pocus Hall, but using an IP. Do you want to see him use the folklore? Do you think we're going to see an IP come into this if it's a major refurbishment, or do you think it should be something original?
Keep it original, but take the ride out and put a trackless thing out in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Trackless trackless system.
That's it.
Would you sort of revert it back to the old haunted house? Would you take the guns out? Would you keep them in? Would you make it a bit different in terms of its interactivity level?
I'll probably take them out.
Yeah, you take them out.
Yeah.
What would you replace it with? What would you want to make the ride stand out without the guns?
More spooky.
So less family and more family thrill.
Yeah, just like Disneyland with the haunted house.
Okay, the haunted mansion at Disney. Sort of that like a Phantom Manor type thrill level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Jason, thank you very, very much for your thoughts on Duel. Let's move on to Enterprise. Now, obviously, the Enterprise, that looks like it's going now, isn't it?
Yeah. It sounds like it's going to be gone because all the pictures I've seen, it looks like really likely it's going to come back.
Yeah.
To stop it now.
I mean, what's the future now for that site? Are we expecting another Retro Squad attraction next season, or do you think it should be something different, more permanent?
For temporary, a Retro Squad. I'm not too sure what to do for permanent for that. Because obviously where it is, and because of the tree height, I don't know where it's going to. I don't know what they're going to put in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that I saw on forums elsewhere that sort of mentioned a couple of different rides, maybe the Zampella Endeavour or the Tivoli Warp 10 model. I mean, we could look at next gen Enterprise models. I mean, would that be probably the direction to go with this one?
Possibly, they could do, but I highly doubt they would.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. Jason, thank you very, very much for your call today. And have a wonderful evening.
And you.
So that was Jason on the show. Coaster says wasn't aware of these removals, but Enterprise seems like it'll be a goner. Absolutely, all the pictures and everything sounds like it's going to be a goner. Hopefully, fingers crossed, like I said, on Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be down there at the site to film it for myself. But it very much looks like Enterprise is history. Hello to the Weber Trauma Boots fan, Zampella Nebulas. The reason why I wouldn't say Zampella Nebula is just because Drayton Manor, that's not too far away from Alton Towers in Tamworth, is investing in the Zampella Nebulas as part of their Vikings area this year. So that's why I wouldn't say Nebulas, because I think Alton Towers wouldn't invest in a similar ride to a part that's not too far from it. That's why I would go with that. Not why I wouldn't go with the Nebulas anyway. Let's move into our second caller. Ryan, how are you?
Alright, I'm okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but have you got something on in the background?
No, I've got my headset in, so I can hear you.
All right. What are you sort of thinking then, Ryan, about Duel, first of all?
Personally, I would go down the route of either a walkthrough attraction like Chessington or go trackless.
Yeah, I think a trackless one would be good. I think that would be a great way to modernise the dark ride model. Would you take out the guns, and would you keep it just as a trackless dark ride and a bit more spooky, like what Jason was saying, or would you keep the guns and keep the interactivity level?
Take out guns. I would take out the interactive.
Yeah.
Version. Yeah. Well, I would take out the interactive element to it and do it as a dark ride, as a trackless.
Okay.
You know?
What would you do about Enterprise? What would you do about Enterprise then? Because it looks like that's a goner. What would you do with that stuff?
Get rid of it and do exactly the opposite to what you say.
Okay.
I would maybe agree with you in terms of don't make it retro squad, but I think the ideal do what we think parks are going to do with regards to Wicker Man, because I've said since Wicker Man opened that if Wicker Man takes success, do parks might start building new videos. So I think see the success of the Zamp Brighton, if the Nebulas is a success at Brighton in a couple of years' time, I would then put it in. I would put a Nebulous in.
Okay. I think a Nebulous would be a good attraction. I think that would be a good one to invest in this. But Ryan, thank you very, very much for your call and have a wonderful rest of your evening, okay?
Well done, mate.
Thank you very much. That was Ryan on the show. Let's get some comments in then. Duel would be superb if it was themed to a Disney level, but this is Merlin. Wouldn't be surprised if we get Halloween-themed guns to go in that, right? Lift Deals and Thrills. Please use the StreamYard link pinned at the top of the chat. I want to get your fan cam on tonight. The Coasters Are Us series official channel. Hello. 8,990. Great YouTube name. Said, it's so sad to see Enterprise in this state. I really love this ride because it was my first ever ride to go upside down. It was one of my first as well. I remember riding it in 2005, I think. Because I was getting taller and taller when I was a kid. I was getting tall for my age. So around 2005, 2006 was sort of my first sort of year riding it. And it was a really good ride, really, really good ride. So I rode the original and then rode the upgraded version after 2013. So also the modified versions after post 2013. So I got to do the original, which I'm kind of happy about. But I'm really sad about the closure. It does feel quite historically sad about it. I don't know what happened to Duel and Enterprise. It's a guessing game at this stage, isn't it? We're just sort of throwing like different ideas out and things like that. And also, Hex hasn't been open for a long time. I did think that Hex was going to be open at some point, but it still hasn't opened yet. So I don't know what's going on down there. Remove Enterprise and have the Spin Jam and Enterprise site as a brand new dart ride. Close Duel permanently. Do the new dart ride and use Gloomy Wood as the secret Weapon 9 site, says Gamer William. I think that, I mean, if you were to build a new Smiler shop and maybe use the old single rider queue, or maybe spin off the main queue into a new fast track queue, and then maybe use the old fast track and single rider queue as part of like a queue for the new dart ride, if you get me, and sort of combine the old Smiler shop building with the two sites, if that helps. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if there's a way of doing a dart ride in that sort of site where Enterprise and Spin Jam is. I don't know if there's a way of doing it, but if there is, comment down below. It'd be very sad to see the Huss Enterprise go. It's been at the park since 1984. It's been here for a very long time. There is not many of these Huss Enterprises left. Absolutely. There isn't a lot of original ones left. 2005. I was 5 years old. 2006, I was 6 years old. So yeah. We used to have one until 2015. It didn't go all the way upside down, but it was still good. Apparently, it's awaiting for parts, but I'm not too sure. Very interesting there. But let's bring another caller into the show now. Lift Hills and Thrills. How are you doing, mate?
Hello, mate. I didn't expect to be online so quickly. I literally just clicked a link and boom, here I am. I'm not too bad, mate. Yourself?
I'm good. Obviously, the discussion topic is on the two rides. Like I said, hopefully, fingers crossed, Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be down there for the Mardi Gras event to give a closer look into the sites. But let's start with Duel first of all. Then, obviously, Haunted House anniversary this year. I mean, you rode it recently. I'm going to be hopefully riding it this week. How did it operate for you, if you can go into a bit of detail? Because I knew for me in the first weekend of the season, it did better than previous years, but still needed a lot of work.
It's strange, mate, because right at the start of the season, when I first went, it must have been 2 or 3 days after opening the start of the season, I went in, blasters are working great, all the effects were working. It kind of, I wouldn't say it looked refreshed, but it was certainly more vibrant than it has been, and the guns were working perfectly, which is rare in itself. Fast forward, well, to this week when I went, over the last few days, and effects aren't working. Blasters are jamming and not even registering scores. They've got a lot of effects that are just out of action. Obviously, you've got the sad state of the tunnel. That's just been in disrepair for many, many seasons now. You've got things on the floor which just haven't been tidied up. You've got the ride operators saying they're not just kind of leaving stuff up in the air at the moment. It just seems as though they're leaving it to wreck and ruin, which normally is when Alton Towers are in the process of updating something that's been dilapidated, for example. So there has been, when I posted the video a few days ago talking about it, someone actually messaged and said that they saw somebody with plans chatting outside a Duel. That could be anything. It really could. It could be someone talking about plans at a completely different area of the park. They just so happen to be standing outside of Duel. It would be nice to see it updated, though. And as you probably saw the photo of the two skeletons and that dress table and the entrance that was surfacing on social media, why go through the effort of doing that? Is it a little hint that something's coming? Is it just the ride-ups have got a bit bored and added that as a laugh? Who knows? But it'll be good to see some work done because it desperately needs it. But like I said in the comments, it's Merlin. So what we're going to expect, I'm nervous.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a guessing game at this stage until we see anything official come out of the park. I think that if there's any ride right now that needs a refurbishment, it is probably Duel, and it's been needing it for a good 3, 4, maybe even 5 years minimum. In terms of if this will be refurbished, what kind of refurbishment are you expecting from this potentially? Are you expecting something minor like it was with the Towers of Care program a few years back, or are you expecting hopefully like what Chessington did with Hocus Pocus Hall, which is like an overhaul of the whole thing, but maybe not with an IP?
I'd love to see an overhaul without an IP, because I remember the TLC thing was literally just a lick of UV paint, wasn't it? And it was like, oh, it looks so beautiful, you know. As Alton Towers fans who have seen that ride in such a bad state for so long, even something like UV paint got us all excited about seeing this kind of like revival, you know what I mean? But yeah, in terms of, I'd like to see an overhaul. I mean, Merlin have got the know-how, they've got the theming, they just need to invest, and that's something that Alton Towers may struggle, especially with how expensive the retrack's going to be. Clearly, SW9's in the works. That's been going on for quite some time now, so there's money set aside for that. We know what Merlin are capable of with Jumanji at Gardaland. Yes, there's still a few niggles with that ride, but it's, in terms of theming, it's probably one of their biggest, if not the biggest, grand scale dark ride that they've ever done. They've got the potential to do something like that, but which kind of avenue they go down, family thrill or back to old school haunted house, who knows? But I'd love to see an overhaul, brand new effects, and just put some effort in, because Alton Towers, like I said, they just leave stuff to rack of room. Just put some effort in. That this is your flagship park. It is the Merlin flagship park of the UK, whether you like it or not. It really is in terms of investment. So just put some effort in and show the UK you mean business, and put a dark ride on the grand scale, on the grand stage of the world. You know, a big dark ride, big investment, whether it happens now or in 5 years' time, I don't care. Just get something done in Duel.
Yeah, and in terms of, I mean, obviously we're sort of talking about this potential refurbishment. I mean, like we said, it's been a long time coming, you know, and we sort of talk about how the Haunted House anniversary is this year. I mean, could it be great if they sort of went back to the old haunted house but reinvest it in a modern way? So maybe not take the guns off and just revert it back to what it was before 2003, but maybe just, you know, completely overhaul it but change it back to the haunted house story, and maybe put the backstory back into the ride. We saw the backstory screens taken out with the Towers Living Care program, so maybe bring the backstory back into the ride.
Yeah, exactly. That would be something really cool. I mean, if you're going to keep the lasers, don't go on a Disney level and put in a Buzz Lightyear ride, for example, because that's probably the best example of a laser gun ride that I've ever experienced. Completely immersive, you know, where the laser gun becomes like an attachment of yourself and it's kind of immersing you into the experience. Whereas as Duel is basically the same as me and you going in a shopping trolley with two guns going through a little scare maze. You know what I mean? It's not really the same experience. But if they're going to stick with laser guns, drag us into the story. Make sure it's not just shooting at just random Halloween props that you can buy from the range. Make sure it immerses you in the experience you're going through. If you're getting rid of the guns, make that experience much scarier. Make it something special. Even adding sort of better animatronics and stuff like that. Just anything, just to give it a bit of a boost and get those queues up again, because Duel rarely has anything longer than a 20-minute queue. So to see it refurbished and on even 30, 40, 50 minutes, even though it'll be a longer wait for us, it'll still be an attraction worth queuing for. Cross fingers.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what the jury is out on Duel between now and the end of the season. Sticking now with the second one, Enterprise, I think it's pretty much all clear from every angle. But it's pretty clear it's going to go.
Yeah, mate, if you look at it now, it reminds me of the wheel that you see on the Chernobyl pictures.
Yeah.
It's in a really bad shape. I think the Chernobyl wheel is actually in a better state than Enterprise right now.
Yeah, and that's vertical. That's vertical.
Yeah, exactly. That's still up. It's allowed to go vertical. It's allowed to stay vertical. You know, but Enterprise, I can't see it coming back. If you're getting rid of it, replace it with a newer model. If you're going to keep that sort of Enterprise-y thing. But as soon as the hype board came down, it's like, have they gone to leak signs to get a new sign? Then you look over the fence. Why has it been fenced off? There's multiple things pointing towards it going. It'll be a shame. I just hope they don't turn it into another picnic space like they did with Fountain Square, for example, where the Wave Swinger used to be. I don't want another picnic space. Yes, the views will be cool of Oblivion coming out of the tunnel whilst you're eating a sandwich or two, but we need flat rides, mate. We don't need funfair rides that are on loan. Funk and Fly, bless its little cotton socks, had to be sent back to its owner because we'd worn it out, so we had to get a new model in. Stop wearing out the funfair rides. Invest in a permanent flat. And it clearly works. It clearly disperses the queue. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought them back again for another season. Just get some investment in there. But like I said, with the backlog of investments that Alton Towers have got, it might be some time until we see a permanent flat. We might have to do with Retro Squad rides for 2, maybe even 3 more seasons.
Yeah, I think that's more than likely the case. I think I mentioned this before. I think a few forums mentioned things like the Zampilla Endeavours, the Tivoli Warp model. There's models out there you could replace it with. I know I said about the Nebulas, you know, Drake Man's investing in one this year, so that won't be the case with Alton Towers if they're going to go for a flat ride replacement. And as you mentioned about picnic spaces, Submissions Memorial Garden, which is now obviously Spin Jam. We just want to see. I mean, this sort of links everything with Duel, everything with Enterprise, just links back to Alton Towers and investment. What is their future plan? Because I don't think we've seen a 10-year plan for Alton Towers or a long-term development plan for Alton Towers since that old one, like 5-10 years ago, that's barely been mentioned about, and there's some rides that are still there now.
It would be nice to see something like that from Alton Towers. The part that sprung straight to my mind as soon as you mentioned that was Drayton. It's like, right, we've got a new logo. Not everyone agrees with it, but this is our plan. This is our demographic. This is the themed area we're doing. This is what's coming next. We're getting a coaster next year. We know exactly what's happening. Like it hasn't been officially announced with the new coaster, but there's markings there. There's stuff going on. You're constantly seeing developments in that park, whereas Alton Towers, it's just like all the time. Unfortunately, living next to the park and the amount of times that I go, it's disappointing to see. Like, it's a lovely park, don't get me wrong, but if you've been for like the first time in months, obviously you can appreciate it for what it is. If I go daily, you can kind of spot all the bits that need attention, all the things that they're missing out on, all the things that they're leaving and should be repairing or fixing. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, and like I said, on Wednesday or Thursday, hopefully, if this trip gets greenlit, I'm going to be going around all the different sites of potential development in every single area of the park, just to put a little video together, just to show them exactly what needs work. But overall, then, I mean, Enterprise obviously been here since the start, pretty much. Duel's been here since the Haunted House days in 1992. 2 historic attractions, 1 pretty much on the way out, 1 on the verge of going out potentially with the murmurings and the rumors. Again, do we look at 2023 season as maybe the year that we see something happen to one of these 2 sites or both of these sites, or do you think it'll be just an off year for focusing on the events and maybe some more family rides?
I think with 2023, we're going to get an indication of what the next steps are for the park. I think an Enterprise announcement, like you mentioned earlier on in the show, is more than likely. I'd put money on it that we'd probably get that announcement. I think 2023 with the Nemesis retrack, I definitely think Forbidden Valley is going to be an area of focus. There's going to be something in that area to keep us occupied whilst it's the only way to get footfall. Depends on how they corner it all off. It's going to be harder to get down to Galactica. They need something to draw people there. There's a lot of activity in the Subterra building, but this is all murmurings. It could be to do with Scarefest. We have no idea, but it would be nice to have something going on around there to keep us drawn to Forbidden Valley whilst Nemi's having all the work done to it. But maybe that's where Duel comes into play. It's celebrating an anniversary. We haven't seen anything to show any indication that it'll be involved in Scarefest, because it'd either be out of action now or there'd be some sort of updates or something that we would have seen already, with October being, well, it's not too far away now, is it, mate? So we would have seen something by now. But yeah, I think there might be something added, a little mini celebration of sorts. But in terms of Duel, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything for a little bit this year. But who knows? I'm very hopeful that, because literally about a week ago, I saw scaffolding at the bottom of Tower Street. 3 days later, it's that big, beautiful stage that a big Teddy's now dancing in front of. They could turn it around. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously time will tell. But, mate, thank you very much for coming on the Theme Park Call-In show. Obviously, the fan cam will be up this evening or tomorrow. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
No worries, mate. Have a wonderful evening, and cheers for having me on. Have a good one. See you later, mate.
Thank you very much. So, guys, if you do want to call into the show, then please do use the StreamYard link pinned at the top of the chat. If you've got your thoughts on the topics conversation, Duel, Enterprise, what's the 2023 season looking like now? What's going to be happening? Who's the focus? What's the focus? Let's go back through the comment section. Alton Towers could replace Enterprise with the Zampella Endeavour ride if it's removed, similar to Kentucky Kingdom replacing their Huss Enterprise with Scream Extreme in 2018. Ride like Vortex would be good in the Enterprise site, where it could be themed to one of the arms on the Marmalizer, on the Smiler, or as a weapon of some form for Oblivion, if that is possible. You'd have to really outstretch the site. I think you'd have to probably combine the Enterprise and Spin Jam sites and sort of do it horizontally rather than vertically, because if you do it vertically, you're either going to swing into the Oblivion overbank, or if you're going to do it on the Spin Jam side, you're going to be swinging right into the brake run. So it's going to be done horizontally probably. So you're going to have to do it on like an angle, quite a narrow version of that type of ride. and do it horizontally so you can still get the airtime and things like that. I don't know. It depends how much they want to outstretch the site and combine the two, but we'll see. We'll see. One evidence that unfortunately led to the removal of Enterprise's volcano at Kennywood operated with good maintenance until 2020. That's definitely a good one there. After the lost submission, we need to preserve Enterprise. I think it's been very hard to preserve it now. Although it does look interesting from the top of Oblivion, it absolutely does. We also can't forget Blade. Its future might be in question too. Blade, I'm sort of doubting a little bit less because only recently in the last year or two, it's sort of had its new parts and stuff like that. But you are right, though. It could literally turn in like the next 2-3 years. We never know. 20 years ago, you needed 2 days at Alton Towers. Now I hardly need one, says UK Theme Parks. You are right. And you're not wrong. You're right. Alton Towers need to up their game a bit to catch up with Thorpe Park and Chessington. They do indeed. Are you going to Ocean Beach Pleasure Park, South Shields? Are you getting Dodgems and Freak Out KMG? I mean, a Dodgems would be a classic attraction to go for. We knew Thorpe Park had one of these about 8 years ago now for their family area. So if you were going to bring in a family ride for an area of the park, then a Dodgems would be a nice classic attraction to go with. In terms of the Freak Out, the KMG Freak Out, again, a more permanent version of that would be a nice addition if you could outstretch the site or put it in a site where it would be good to work in. It should be very interesting. But guys, if you do want to call into the show, the StreamYard link is pinned at the top of the chat. If you do have your thoughts on this particular bit of news, I will put it in the chat again for those of you who haven't seen the top of the chat yet as well. So again, let's keep the discussion going. So obviously, I think, with Duel, I think it's past its time, needs a refurbishment. Enterprise, it's not really been getting much queues over the last few years. Maybe it has had its time, but it is still in a sorry state of affairs. What other rides like Enterprise or Duel could you see leaving, says Imperial Coaster? I go back to that plan 10, 15 years ago. That old long-term development plan for Alton Towers about 10 or so years ago. Spinball, I still have this nagging feeling in the gut that it's going to go at some point. I just don't know when. I think it'll stay for at least another few years or so, but I don't know when it's going to go next. Obviously, like Sean just said there, from Lift Doors and Thrills, Secret Weapon 9's definitely in the works at some point. So, whether that involves Spinball or not, we do not know, or somewhere else in the park. But again, I have this nagging feeling with Spinball. We know that the Flume is already gone. We know Ripsaw's gone. We know that the Blade is still here for now, at least. Submission's gone. So I think Duel and Enterprise are sort of the main ones now. I think they're sort of the main ones left. So I don't know. We'll see. I think Enterprise had its time, says Tim Blackburn. Yeah, I think Enterprise had its time. I think it's not, like I say, it's not really got a queue for the last few years or so. But Nippon is on the show. Nippon, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
A theme park nerd, a bit like me. Something a lot of you didn't actually know that I do. I like roller coasters, just like you.
Brilliant. So, I mean, Duel Alton Towers, first of all, it seems like it could be on its way out. I mean, would you say it's past
Alton
its time?
Towers could be on its way out.
Duel Alton Towers could potentially be on its way out.
Oh, okay. I've never been to Alton Towers.
Ah.
I've never been to any theme park in the Staffordshire area, so I've never been to Drayton Manor, and I've never been to Alton Towers.
Ah, mate, you're missing out. You're missing out. I'm hopefully down there on Wednesday, fingers crossed for the Mardi Gras event. So
but I will be in Stoke on the 26th of June.
Ah, brilliant.
For a diving convention.
Ah, wonderful.
At the aquatic center. So I'll be driving back to London on the same day though, so I won't have time to go to Alton Towers.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Overall then, all right, and since you've been Alton Towers, let's have a bit of a generic chat. what's your favourite roller coaster? Mine is Wicker Man by a little mile. Hopefully, Nemesis, when it gets its refurbishment done, will follow. What's yours?
Stealth.
Okay. Why stealth? Why stealth?
Because it just gives you that oomph factor whenever you sit there. Like, you can never have enough of it. Like, but everyone says it's a bit boring because the journey's over in like a minute. But in terms of how long do you want to be on the coaster for, I'd have to say Colossus.
Okay.
In the same theme park.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Swarm? Because it seems like that's everyone's first choice at Thorpe Park at the moment.
It's a little slow for my liking. If I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't say slow in the sense that I could make a phone call while on it. That's only possible on the Flying Fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a few roller coasters I would love to go to. One of them being the F1 coaster in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, that's definitely a bucket list coaster of mine as well.
Yeah, but one coaster I definitely don't want to go on is that Six Flags.
Oh, they've got some absolute record breakers over there.
Yeah, the last thing I want is my eyes coming out of the back of my skull.
Well, Six Flags is a potential destination I'd like to go for at some point in the future, but it just depends which ones.
I didn't know you had two channels. I only thought it was the Doncaster Rovers channel.
No, I've had this one for 3 years. The Donny Rovers one I've only had for about a year or so.
Okay.
But Nippon, thank you very, very much for coming on the Theme Park Call-In show, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
When's the next one?
I'm not too sure yet. Literally, yesterday was my last day at my job, so I've got more free time now.
Okay, yeah, it was nice hopping on. Hope to bring you onto my channel someday if we have to discuss some football transfers and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have a great evening, mate. Take care.
See you later.
It's great having someone new, someone who hasn't been to Alton Towers yet, so get him involved a bit. Let's go up to the comment section. Guys, don't forget, if you need to come into the chat, if you need to come into the stream and share your thoughts on Duel, on Enterprise, on Alton Towers 2023, anything linking to these stories, anything linking to these discussion topics, get in the stream. Get backstage, because I'll be bringing you on one by one. We've still got a good 20-odd minutes to go, so there is plenty of time. Don't you worry about that. They need to open Nemesis Subterra next year because it's going to be a lot busier with just Galactica and the Blade. And plus, we don't know if the Retro Squad could return next year yet. I completely agree with you. It's times like this that make me sad that Millen does not seem to like flat rides. It's stuff like flat rides we need at Towers and Thorpe that need filler rides. The thing is, though, Chessington only a couple of years ago invested in a flat ride in Croc Drop. So why are Chessington doing it and why aren't the other parks doing it? I don't know. They can do it. It's just a matter of choice, really, for me, if you want me to be brutally honest. I think they can maybe contact Kennywood and get parts from their enterprise. They could do, but again, it just depends on the current state of our enterprise. Is it beyond repair now? Enterprise had its time because it's the one at Thorpe Park keeps having time down. I reckon that's another thing. How long until Zodiac bites the dust? How long until Zodiac at Thorpe Park bites the dust? Thanks for having me on. I hope to go to Alton Towers soon. No worries, Nippon. Thank you very, very much. So yeah, like I was saying about Jewel, first of all, I think that, like I said, all I want is just a non-IP replacement. If it's going to be a major overhaul or a major refurbishment, I want to see a non-intellectual property refurbishment. Now, if you don't know what intellectual properties are, you're talking things like Thomas or the Julia Donaldson books or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory once upon a time. They are intellectual properties. They are brands from another thing. They're a new brand being brought into this attraction, for example. and the different characters and the settings and the story of this brand or this book or this film or whatever, or this series or whatever. Basically, all the different elements of that brand, that property, like I said, the settings, the characters, the story. That's part of the intellectual property. So again, think back to the Hocus Pocus Hall at Chessington. That got transformed into Room on the Broom, A Magical Journey. Room on the Broom is an intellectual property as it's a Julia Donaldson cartoon children's book. So yeah, I don't want Alton Towers to go down the intellectual property route if Jewel was in fact biting the dust at some point. What I want to see is an original story. Now, whether that be reverting back to the old haunted house, bringing a new backstory into it, or bringing a completely new original story, maybe from Alton Towers folklore or just folklore in general, just something new, something different, something unique, just something completely different. That's what we need to be seeing with this, something completely and utterly different. With Enterprise, like I said, either the Endeavour model or the Tivoli Warp model or some kind of new permanent flat ride. That's what we need to be seeing with this site. Maybe combine it with the Spin Jam site, as people said in the comments. Fingers crossed Jewel might get a refurb to the extent they have done on the new Jumanji. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think the new Jumanji looks great. So something like that would be even better. If they could rip the whole thing out and turn it into a brand new gloomy wood themed Jumanji type attraction, like the same type of attraction as Jumanji at Gardaland, but like a gloomy wood version kind of thing, like a new story, maybe not the same layout, but sort of a gloomy wood version with a new backstory that maybe links back to the haunted house. So and to be fair, sort of going back to what Sean was saying from Lift Hills and Thrills, I think that with the Nemesis retrack going on over 2023, more than likely going through around 2023, you're going to want to find a new way to get around to Galactica, but you're also going to want to have something in Forbidden Valley to keep them going. The best thing you could do is bring back Nemesis of Terror, but also have the Jewel refurbishment for 2023 and have that whole overhaul going on, reopening in 2023 for the new season next year. And have that all going off. So that would be my thing anyway. I'd do the Jewel refurb of the Nemesis of Terror and bring it both in 2023. So you got Gloomy Wood and the top half and the right at the bottom half of Forbidden Valley to keep them occupied while they're doing up the Nemesis section, the main Nemesis section over 2023, ready for 2024. I think it would just make a lot of logistical sense, in my opinion. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But in terms of Enterprise, like I said, I think it's gone now, in my opinion. I think it's on the way out, and I think we're going to see a new flat ride hopefully in the future. We just don't know how far into the future yet. If Merlin's not, by the way, if Merlin's not going to invest in Alton Towers to the standard that we know they can do, just someone come along and buy that park. Are you getting a new log flume water coaster in 2023? As far as I know, no. I never rode Nemesis of Terror as I hit 1.4 in 2017. You missed out, Sunshine. You missed out on a wonderful attraction. I've done the original and I've done the one after the 6 weeks changes. I managed to do it when sort of in its opening sort of day, 2 days, that kind of thing. I sort of did it when it first opened, and Nemesis of Terror was a great attraction, really good attraction. And then it had its 6 weeks changes, and then it just all took off from there. Great attraction after the 6 week changes. But I was sad when it closed because I think it looked a good attraction. I think if they do, it may be in 2024, as Nemesis is a big job for a refurb, as they can't have 3 major rides down at the same time. Absolutely. But yeah, guys, if you haven't called in already, don't forget, you don't have to use your camera. You don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to. You can just use your audio if you want, and just go into the StreamYard, have your camera off, and just use your audio, because we are just going to use the audio from these fan cams for the fan cam videos. So don't worry if you don't want to put your camera on. You don't have to if you don't want to. Hi, Coach Chow. Love your videos. Start watching in 2019. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I shouldn't. To be fair, I haven't actually said this yet because I haven't. Because I was so focused on the discussion, I haven't actually said this yet. And I'm gonna get my studio up just to make sure I've got the statistics right because I don't want to get it wrong. But as far as I know, and like I say, I'm gonna check the statistics as far as I know. We are about 100, nearly 200 subscribers away from the big 3,000 mark, which is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And like I said, I'm just in awe of the fact that we've managed to do this. And you know, I just it's amazing that we're getting so close now to that that 3,000 mark. It really, really is. So yeah, so that's great. In terms of views as well, and again, I'll double check my thing just to make sure I haven't got this wrong. We have got 745,000 views in total, which is unbelievable. We started this channel, or started uploading videos to this channel towards the back end of 2018. So a good 3 years or so, good 3-4 years or so. And to get that kind of view mark is unbelievable. I saw on right POVs of it, though, looked amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. Have you seen the new F-telling trailer of Dancer Macabre? I've seen it. I'm going to do a reaction video on it. Don't worry, that is coming soon. Trust me, I'm going to give you a spoiler for my reaction. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I was going to do a reaction. Well, to be fair, I was going to do a reaction video, but I don't know. I'm probably just going to do like a review of the trailer and stuff like that because I don't know what the copyright laws are on the music using the trailer. I don't know, but I'll double check that just in case. But I have seen it and it looks amazing. But yeah. Guys, last callers alert. I'm going to put the StreamYard link for the final time in the chat again. It is pinned at the top of the chat as well. If you want to call in and share your thoughts on Duel, on Enterprise, on Alton Towers 2023, please do come into the StreamYard. You don't have to use your camera. That's absolutely fine. You can just use your audio because we are just going to use the audio from this for the fan cams, and we'll get your thoughts. Mr. Mingles, you've been a supporter since 2019. This is your chance if you want to share your thoughts on the channel and be a part of the channel live right now. Like I said, if you just want to use your audio, that's absolutely fine. We want to try and get some more fan cams done before the end of this evening, before we hit that hour mark or as close to the hour mark as possible, without going over too much. We've got 8 minutes to go, so no time like the present. But summarizing then, just while we're waiting for more callers before the end of the show, just sort of summarize everything. I think that, like I said, Duel, I'd say Duel is probably in line for a refurbishment at some point. I think Enterprise is gone. I think Enterprise hopefully will be replaced at some point sooner rather than later. Duel in terms of refurbishment, again, we'll see what happens, but there we go. 138990. I'm a big fan too. Thank you very, very much. Like I said, it's mad that we've hit nearly 3,000 subscribers and nearly 800,000 views. We're nearly halfway to 800,000 views, which is unbelievable. And we're well over the 3/4 mark to get to the big view mark, 1 million. Now, to hit 1 million views would be unbelievable. That would be the best video I could film on this channel because it would be packed with emotion. It'll be packed with pride. It'll be packed with thank yous because it all goes to you guys. But yeah, to hit 1 million views before the end of 2022 would be unbelievable. So we are monetizing the channel now. Go back, watch all the old videos. Let's get the view counts up on every single video. Let's try and get every single video on this channel at least to 1,000 views. That would be one step towards getting to that 1 million mark. But yeah, like I said, I think Duel will be in line for refurbishment at some point. I think the Enterprise is gone, in my opinion. I think it's literally on its hinges now. I think it's all 10 up. It's 10 up. Where's my grammar at? It's torn up, in my opinion. I think the Enterprise is gone, or pretty much gone. Duel hopefully will be in line for refurbishment at some point. Like I said, the plans for Alton Towers right now are sketchy in terms of beyond the Nemesis retrack. We don't know what else is going to go on at the park. We know that SW9 possibly could be in the works. The Nemesis retrack is obviously coming in the next year or so. So apart from the retrack and SW9 potential talks, everything else around the park is sketchy. It really is sketchy. What Will David Williams needs expanding, and I think there's a few sites that could expand in. It's just whether they can do it or not. The Alton Towers Dungeon, how far is that going to go? Congratulations on that, Coach Shaw. I've been watching you since 2018, 2019. God, I can't believe I've been starting that channel that long. Myself, I'm starting to work on my own channel. I've got 2 videos I'm working on at the moment. Keep on the great work. Nico, shout out to you for being a loyal supporter, as well as everyone for being loyal supporters of the channel. If you've got your own content, that's the best present I could give you guys, because that's one of the reasons why I started this channel. I wanted to inspire the next generation of theme park content creators. So, you know, look at all the other big theme park YouTubers. My channel's sort of different because we're not usually the vlogging type. I'm not traditionally a theme park vlogger. I think everyone else, or mainly everyone else, is sort of theme park vloggers. I'm mainly not a theme park vlogger. I'm mainly a theme park news reporter and sort of basing myself around theme park journalism. We do have the vlogs as well. That's still a big part of the channel, but my primary focus is on theme park journalism and reporting the latest news around the world. So for a channel like that, compared to the big theme park vloggers out there in the UK and beyond the UK and around the world, to get to nearly 3,000 subscribers and nearly 1 million views, or a quarter away from 1 million views, is unbelievable for a theme park news channel that's not a theme park vlogging channel mainly. So thank you to every single one of you. And like I say, if I can inspire the next generation of content creators, that would be fan-dabby-dozy. But there we go. The catchphrase returns. But yeah, like I said, it's mad nearly hitting these numbers. It really is mad hitting these numbers. But yeah, like I said, we've had some great calls tonight so far. Let's see if we can get one more in. Can we get one more caller in with 3 minutes to go? Come on. Anyone watching, hit that StreamYard link pinned at the top of the chat and be our last caller of the night. Just do it. Don't have any fear. If you're nervous about it, don't be nervous, honestly. Trust me. Safe space with me. Just talk theme parks and you'll be A-okay. Don't you worry about that. Nico, you're starting your own channel. I'll give your channel a shout out in the description of your fan cam. If you want to come on and share your thoughts on Duel and Enterprise, please do. 8,990, Mr. Mingles, Nico, Kimmer, Maid, I think her name is. You've kept me on the latest news like Drayton Manor and Thorpe and other parts. Can't wait to see what you next bring us. Hopefully, fingers crossed, big things. Because I have been chatting to a few YouTubers in the past. Like in the past, you know Liam Bedford that did KSI the Musical. Like I talked to him a little bit, so I might try and sweeten a little deal with him and try and get a project going. Last call then of the night. Matthew is here. Matthew, how are you? Matthew, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Are you thinking of covering any more theme parks in the future?
You're sorry, say that again.
Are you thinking of covering any more or new theme parks in the future? Because I know you've already covered a few parts in Europe and in North America.
I do hope to cover more of the independent theme parks. Yeah, I do want to expand the news coverage going forward, and not just your Drayton Manors, your Six Flags, your Alton Towers, your Universal, your Disney, etc. But I do want to cover more independent parks. Obviously, there's a lot more independent parks around the world that's sort of bringing out more news. I want to expand the Asian coverage as well. I think there's a lot more Asia parks that are doing some good stuff out there. So I do want to expand the coverage of them as well. So yeah, I do want to expand. I hope to expand the coverage at some point.
Yeah, that's good.
So what's your thoughts then on Duel, first of all, then? Do you think it's going to go, or do you think it'll still be here for next season as usual?
Part of me thinks that they might just revert it back to the way it was before 2003, because I hate to say this, but I dislike the interactive element of the ride, it doesn't make you feel quite as helpless.
Yeah, I get that. If they were to refurbish it, then would you see them going with an IP, or would you like to see something original happening to the ride?
I would say either something original or just an overhaul of the original theme. But definitely not an IP, because I know over some theme parks, especially Disney and Universal, are becoming quite notorious for it. Their over-reliance on IP.
Yeah, absolutely. On Enterprise, then, do you think it's pretty much gone now?
Yeah, I can't see him bringing it back. I hate to say this, but it feels like at Alton Towers that flat rides are a dying breed of rides.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. And if Enterprise, I mean, it looks like Enterprise is going, but what would you see them replacing it with? Do you see them diving back into the retro squad or something different?
Probably something different, because I think the retro squad is only really a temporary measure just to fill the gaps without having to invest too much.
Yeah, and finally, then, obviously, the 2023 season next season. Obviously, we know about the Nemesis retrack, possible talks Secret Weapon 9 long term. What do you think is in the planning for Alton Towers going forward? Because it doesn't feel, apart from those two things, it feels like the future plans are quite sketchy at the moment.
I can't really say much about those other plans, because I haven't heard much else about them.
Yeah, I mean, what would you like to happen?
I would probably like at least one more flat ride. But I think that's what most people want.
Where would you see it going if you wanted to invest in a new flat ride?
I would probably maybe invest like a new drop tower ride.
Yeah.
But chances are maybe to get into the ground.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I think a new drop tower would be good, especially with Subterra not open at the moment. Right, Matthew, thank you very, very much for coming on the show. Have a wonderful evening. Take care, mate. And there he goes. So there we are. That is the end of the stream. Sorry you're late. Sorry about that, mate. I know we did an early one compared to previous night streams, but I wanted to sort of get one early done. Enterprise supposedly also now has their height board painted just green now. The decal isn't on anymore, so it's certainly making it even more possible. It's going. Definitely sounds like that. Absolutely. So there we go. So that is today's stream done and dusted. So again, obviously after this stream is finished, comment down below in the comment section of the stream. What are you thinking going into the future? What's going to happen to Duel? What's going to happen to Enterprise's site? Comment down below. Hopefully, like I said, fingers crossed, Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be down there to get some shots of what Enterprise looks like right now. Hopefully, with my height as a tall person, I can hopefully just lean over the fence and just sort of get it, over the top. But with Duel, for example, I'd love to try and get Duel done again as many times as possible if we can, just to see how it operates, how the effects are working compared to the opening weekend of the season, and sort of comparison it between the two. Like Sean was saying, it seemed like barely anything was working and things were being left and things like that. So I am on the lookout. Like I said, I'm going to do probably a separate video on there, hopefully, to show you every single site that's needing refurbishment or renovation, or a site that has been up for discussion either recently or in the recent year or two, or recent few years even. So I'm going to go around loads of different sites just to show you exactly what's up for discussion here. But there we are, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching this stream. I should say video stream. Make sure to like the video if you loved it. Comment down below your thoughts on me. Stream. I keep saying video. It's a stream. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're new around here. Click the notification bell to see Nemesis YouTube video. Like I said, we are literally on the verge of 3,000 subscribers and 1 million views. We're a quarter of the way there. So please, 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 let's get that done as soon as possible. And for now, guys, I am the CHALL Donkster born but built for theme parks. And that, my friends, is the end of today. Thank you very much. Have a thrill-tastic